Trippie Redd just dropped a mighty bombshell.
I ended up getting a DNA test and it wasn't my kid.
After months of baby drama with Coi Leray, the DNA results are in and the baby is not his. You won't believe which rapper is actually responsible. Let's get right into it. The revelation. Picture this scenario, fam. You got a young dude who's been grinding in the rap game, making moves, securing bags, and living that life. He reconnects with his old shorty after years apart, and everything seems like it's meant to be. They're posting up together, flexing on the gram, and then boom, shorty drops the news that she's pregnant with his seed. The whole internet is celebrating. Fans are hyped about the power couple having a baby, and my mans is out here thinking he's about to be somebody's daddy. But then reality came crashing down harder than a brick falling from a skyscraper, and that reality came in the form of a DNA test that changed everything. This ain't just some regular paternity drama. This is the story of how Trippie Redd discovered that the baby girl he thought was his flesh and blood ain't his biological daughter at all. The bombshell dropped during what seemed like regular conversation between homies, but the impact was anything but regular.
I got a DNA test, I don't even got a kid.
You for real?
I swear, bro. I thought I did. And then I told the world that ahead of time, but I never got no DNA test. And I ended up getting a DNA test and it wasn't my kid.
Yo, let that marinate for a hot minute. Here's a young who went public with claiming his baby, who was posting pictures with the newborn looking like the proudest father in the world, who went through all the motions of being somebody's baby daddy, only to find out the whole foundation was built on lies. The pain in his voice when he's telling this story ain't just about hurt feelings. This cuts to the bone about trust, loyalty, and what happens when the people closest to you ain't keeping it real.
My mom was very get a DNA test. You know how moms do, they be know. Yeah. She was like, get a DNA test.
See, that's that motherly intuition right there. Mama Redd was peeping game from the beginning, probably sensing something was off about the whole situation. You know how moms be, they got that sixth sense when it comes to their kids, and she was steady telling her son to get that test done. Now she's probably feeling vindicated, but also heartbroken seeing her baby boy go through this type of emotional devastation. The impact this whole situation had on Trippie wasn't just some surface level disappointment. This joint hit different and had him questioning everything about his life and his ability to function as an artist.
Yeah, I feel like all the things I was going through during that time was really f***ing with me. That's why I couldn't go on tour, couldn't do shows and shit. I couldn't really, get in my spunk and feel good and shit.
The timing of this revelation makes it even more devastating when you understand the whole context. The baby, who goes by the name Miyoko, came into this world around June 17th, 2025, right around Trippie's birthday. Initially, all the blogs and media outlets were reporting this as the couple's first child together, with Coi posting the first pictures on her socials and everything looking like a happy family situation. Trippie even posted pictures holding the baby in July 2025, looking every bit like a proud daddy showing off his little princess. For all the fans who had been following their back and forth relationship saga, this seemed like the perfect ending to their love story. The photos showed a man who looked completely in love with his new role as a father, which makes the eventual truth even more heartbreaking. But the streets started talking real quick, and speculation about the baby's paternity began bubbling up not long after the birth. The whispers were fueled by the couple's messy history, and some concerning things Coi was saying about limiting Trippie's access to the child because of trust issues. Social media had folks questioning whether Miyoko was really Trippie's biological daughter, with people calling him delusional for his involvement and saying the streets know it ain't actually his baby. The revelation supposedly came sometime around early June 2025, either right before or after the baby was born. Word on the street is that Trippie discussed the paternity results during a conversation around this time, expressing the hurt and disappointment when that DNA test confirmed what his mama had apparently been suspecting all along. What makes this situation even more foul is that this ain't Trippie's first time dealing with paternity drama. Back in 2024, he went through some similar mess involving a different child named St. Michael White, and that joint also turned out to not be his. So now we got a pattern emerging where this young keeps finding himself in situations where people are trying to pin babies on him that ain't his. The emotional toll of going through this type of betrayal once is enough to mess anybody up, but to experience it multiple times, that's some deep psychological trauma that goes way beyond regular celebrity gossip. It raises questions about trust, about the vultures that circle around successful young black men in the industry, and about how fame makes you a target for people with ulterior motives. As of August 2025, social media was still buzzing about the paternity situation, with mad people expressing sympathy for Trippie, while others were questioning how he kept finding himself in these type of situations. The whole thing highlights how messy celebrity culture, social media, and personal relationships can get when they all collide in the modern age. What's really striking about Trippie's response to this devastating news is how it completely shook up his whole world. The confusion he mentioned, not being able to perform, the complete disruption of everything he normally does. These are the reactions of somebody whose fundamental understanding of reality just got flipped upside down. To really comprehend the weight of this moment, we need to dive deep into the complicated, messy, and honestly captivating relationship between Trippie Redd and Coi Leray. Let's rewind to where this whole saga began. Picture this. It's 2019, and the hip-hop scene is popping with fresh talent coming up from every corner of the internet. Trippie Redd and Coi Leray first started messing around romantically in early 2019, during what many would call the golden era of SoundCloud rap. Both artists were on that come-up, with Trippie already establishing himself as a force in the melodic rap space, while Coi was carving out her own lane in the industry. Their initial connection wasn't some Hollywood fairy tale or some industry setup. Nah, this was organic. This was real street shit.
Me and Trippie met on through Instagram, but like he saw me. So before I had signed my deal, Milo was like the first. Milo had reached out, whatever, and we got flew to LA, and we linked with Milo. It was just, doing the cording or whatever.
But the real connection happened when they got on tour together. That's where the magic happened, where they really clicked and started catching feelings for real.
But then it's like, we started engaging, and then, and then we got on tour or whatever, and on tour is where we really like clicked. That's where everything happened.
What made their relationship so captivating to everybody watching wasn't just that they were both talented artists making moves. It was the raw, uncut passion they showed for each other. This wasn't some fake industry relationship designed for clout and publicity. This was intense, this was authentic, and this was messy in all the ways that real love tends to get. The evidence of their connection was everywhere you looked. In their famous McDonald's mukbang for XXL, viewers could see the genuine love between them. When they were asked about what they loved about each other, the chemistry was undeniable. Their musical collaborations, their public appearances, the way they looked at each other during interviews, everything pointed to a couple that was completely gone over each other. Trippie immortalized their relationship in his music with the track Leray on his album A Love Letter to You 4. This wasn't just a casual shout out or some throwaway bars in a verse. This was a whole song, a musical love letter that broadcasted his feelings to the entire world. The track became a testament to their romance, but as we'll see, it would later become something much more complicated and painful. But you know how the game goes. The higher you climb, the harder you fall. And they fell hard, spectacularly, and publicly. By the summer of 2019, their relationship had crashed and burned in what Coi would later describe as a messy breakup. The split wasn't just the end of a romance. It was the beginning of a very public, very complicated aftermath that would involve accusations, hurt feelings, and questions about who was using who for clout and publicity. After their split, both artists tried to focus on their grind and build their careers. Trippie continued his ascent in the rap world, while Coi was focused on establishing herself as a force in her own right. For years, it seemed like their chapter was closed, just another entry in hip-hop relationship history, alongside countless other brief celebrity romances that burned bright and flamed out quick. But some stories don't end when you think they do, especially when the chemistry between two people is that real. They rekindled their romance in August 2024, 5 years after their initial dramatic breakup. This time around, they seem more mature, more ready for the intensity of their connection, more prepared to handle what came with being together. The 2024 holiday season seemed to solidify their reunion with some lavish gestures that had the whole internet talking. On Christmas Eve 2024, Coi blessed Trippie with a $400,000 Richard Mille watch. Then on Christmas Day, Trippie surprised Coi with a brand new Range Rover with a bow on top. These weren't regular Christmas gifts. These were major flexes that showed a relationship operating on a completely different level. Then came the moment that seemed to complete their comeback story. On New Year's Day 2025, Coi announced to the world that she was pregnant, confirming Trippie as the father and sharing her excitement about starting a family together. For fans who had followed their journey from 2019 through years of separation and back to reunion, this felt like the perfect happy ending to their story. But as we now know, that happy ending was built on a foundation that would soon crumble completely. The DNA test revelation that we opened with cast everything that followed in a completely different light. The pregnancy announcements, the baby shower drama, the birth of Miyoko, all of it takes on new meaning when you understand that Trippie may have been living a lie this entire time. The question that keeps echoing is, when did Trippie first start getting suspicious? Was it his mama's insistence on the DNA test that first planted seeds of doubt in his mind? Or were there signs throughout the pregnancy that something wasn't adding up? These are the questions that make this story so much deeper than just another celebrity paternity scandal. The pregnancy drama that exposed all the lies. If the first act of this story was about second chances and fairy tale comebacks, the second act is where everything started falling apart in the most public, most devastating way possible. What began as a celebration of new life and family goals quickly turned into a series of allegations, betrayals, and public beefs that would set the stage for the ultimate DNA revelation we now know was coming. The cracks in their seemingly perfect reunion started showing almost immediately after the pregnancy announcement. Just 2 weeks after Coi revealed she was carrying Trippie's child on January 23rd, 2025, she posted some cryptic messages on social media about feeling betrayed during her pregnancy. The message was clear, even without dropping names. "Nothing worse than being cheated on. I wouldn't wish this pain on my worst enemy," she posted, describing it as the worst feeling. Think about that timeline for a minute, fam. 2 weeks. 14 days after announcing to the whole world that they were about to start a family together, Coi was already publicly hinting at infidelity. This wasn't a relationship that was slowly deteriorating over months. This was a situation that went from public celebration to public accusations in a matter of days. The allegations of cheating during pregnancy immediately sparked backlash against Trippie from fans and commentators who know the game. Critics like Tia Kemp went hard at him, with many people labeling his alleged behavior as straight emotional abuse. The idea of stepping out on a pregnant woman struck many as particularly foul, crossing lines that even in the often messy world of hip-hop relationships seem beyond disrespectful. But Trippie's response to these accusations was telling in its boldness. In February 2025, he posted a tweet saying, "I'll do it again." Amid all the accusations, which many interpreted as him showing no remorse whatsoever, this wasn't the response of somebody who was apologetic or trying to make things right. This was the response of somebody who felt justified in his actions or felt he was being unfairly blamed. The situation got even messier when the identity of the alleged side piece started coming to light. Leaked DMs showed Trippie messaging his ex-girlfriend Ilex while Coi was pregnant with what everyone thought was his baby. Ilex, who had been Trippie's girl before his original relationship with Coi back in 2017 to 2018, suddenly found herself thrust back into the center of his romantic drama. By late January 2025, Coi and Alex were going at each other in heated DMs amid the cheating rumors. When Alex leaked these messages, it created another layer of public drama and messiness. However, Coi was quick to clarify that while she was heated about the situation, Alex wasn't necessarily the other woman, suggesting that Trippie's alleged stepping out might have been even more extensive than initially thought. The drama escalated even further when family members got involved in the mix. In February 2025, Coi's pops, Benzino, was making threats toward Trippie amid the breakup, escalating what was already intense family drama. When a parent gets involved in their grown child's relationship disputes, you know the situation has reached a whole different level of serious. Benzino later discussed the situation in interviews, criticizing Trippie's behavior and adding another voice to the chorus of people questioning his character. Throughout this period, both artists started channeling their emotions into their music, which is how real artists handle their pain. Coi previewed a diss track aimed at Trippie in early February 2025, addressing the infidelity head-on. The preview emphasized themes of betrayal and the need for discipline in relationships. Music has always been how artists process their emotions, but when those emotions involve pregnancy, cheating, and public humiliation, the resulting tracks take on a particularly raw intensity. Trippie clapped back by mocking her song on social media and releasing his own track dismissing her claims. He later claimed that Coi had been the one stepping out first, trying to flip the script and position himself as the one who got played. This back and forth through music and social media created a very public, he said, she said situation that was playing out for their millions of combined followers. The tension between them was obvious even during what should have been happier times. Looking back at their interviews during the pregnancy period, you can almost see the cracks forming in real time.
What made the split happen?
You know, at the time we was just young. You know, I was an upcoming artist. I'm still an upcoming artist, just figuring things out. And at the time, he was still figuring things out. And I would say it just wasn't the right time, you know? And with my personal issues and his personal issues and the things that we were going through as artists, it was a lot of pressure, and a lot of pressure leads to frustration.
Even Coi's own words from previous interviews seem prophetic when you look back at them now.
Yeah, one thing I know about Tripp is he don't give a, you know what I'm saying, when nobody's saying that, stay recorded. Like, he stay in the studio. So he's actually really talented, and the reason why he is so successful is because work hard. Like, that's one thing I'll give it to him. He work hard. He don't put nothing before his bread in his music, and I respect that.
Her description of Trippie as someone who don't give a f and prioritizes his hustle above everything else takes on new meaning when viewed through the lens of the pregnancy drama and eventual DNA revelation. The most heartbreaking aspect of this entire drama might have been the effect it had on what should have been joyful milestones in the pregnancy. In April-May 2025, controversy arose when Trippie supposedly wasn't present at their baby shower. According to reports, he had covered the costs, but was explicitly banned from attending by Coi, who reportedly told him to hit the lawyer. Picture that scene for a moment: a baby shower, traditionally a celebration of new life and family unity, taking place without the supposed father because trust had broken down so completely that his presence was considered unwelcome. Coi hosted a Hello Kitty themed shower in early May 2025 without Trippie, focusing on positive vibes despite the ongoing drama and public backlash. But perhaps the most disrespectful move came when Trippie debuted a new shorty in April 2025, while Coi was 6 months pregnant. This move drew widespread criticism for its perceived lack of respect and basic decency. The optics were terrible. Here was a dude introducing a new romantic partner while his pregnant baby mama was dealing with the emotional and physical challenges of carrying what she believed was their child. The timing and public nature of this new relationship reveal seemed almost calculated to cause maximum emotional damage. Trippie addressed baby mama drama on social media, posting about having two at the same time, which many interpreted as a disrespectful reference to juggling relationships with both Coi and his new girl. What makes all this even more tragic in retrospect is the possibility that Trippie may have already suspected or known the child wasn't his during all this drama. If the DNA test happened around the time period that sources suggest, early June 2025, around the time of the birth, then some of his seemingly heartless behavior during the pregnancy might take on a different context. Was his emotional detachment and apparent lack of investment a result of growing suspicions about paternity? By February 2025, there were already rumors circulating that Coi might have terminated the pregnancy amid all the scandal, based on social media posts showing her without a visible bump. However, these rumors proved to be false when Miyoko was born in June. But the fact that such rumors were even circulating speaks to how chaotic and confusing the entire situation had become. Throughout this period, Coi incorporated all the drama into her music, releasing bars in February 2025, taking shots at Trippie's alleged infidelity. These weren't just songs, they were public therapy sessions, ways of processing betrayal and heartbreak in real time while millions of people watched and chose sides. The public largely sided with Coi during this period, viewing Trippie's actions as irresponsible and emotionally abusive, especially given her pregnancy. Fans and online commentators labeled his behavior as toxic and problematic, with many criticizing him for stepping out on a pregnant partner and contributing to her emotional distress during what should have been a special time. But what nobody knew at the time, what couldn't have been known until the DNA results came back, was that this entire drama might have been built on a fundamental lie. If Miyoko wasn't Trippie's biological child, then every accusation of him being a deadbeat father, every criticism of his behavior toward his pregnant girlfriend, every piece of moral outrage about his treatment of his unborn child was based on a false premise. This doesn't excuse any genuinely hurtful behavior, but it does add layers of complexity to a situation that was already incredibly messy. If Trippie suspected or discovered during the pregnancy that the child might not be his, how should he have handled that situation? Should he have publicly questioned paternity while Coi was still pregnant? Should he have waited for DNA results before emotionally investing? These are impossible questions with no clear right answers in the hood or anywhere else. What we do know is that by the time Miyoko was born on June 16th, 2025, the relationship between her supposed parents had completely broken down. The birth should have been a moment of joy and reconciliation, a chance for two people to come together for their child regardless of their personal issues. Instead, it became another flashpoint in an increasingly bitter and public dispute. Co-parenting drama emerged almost immediately after the birth, with Coi reportedly limiting Trippie's access to the baby due to trust issues. She made statements about feeling he couldn't be trusted around their daughter, which at the time seemed like the actions of a protective mother dealing with an unreliable baby daddy. In light of the DNA revelation, these restrictions take on an entirely different meaning and make a lot more sense. Trippie's history of toxic relationships. As we reach the final chapter of this wild saga, the DNA revelation that Miyoko isn't Trippie's biological daughter becomes even more shocking when you peep the game and understand that this ain't some isolated incident in his life. To really understand how we got to this point, we need to examine the disturbing pattern of toxic relationships, cheating allegations, and romantic chaos that's been following Trippie Redd throughout his whole career like a bad omen. What's most telling about Trippie's relationship history ain't just the drama, it's how the same keeps happening over and over again. The same themes appear repeatedly. Passionate beginnings that got everybody hyped, cheating accusations flying left and right, toxic dynamics that got people picking sides, and explosive public endings that leave everybody damaged. Understanding this pattern helps explain not just what went down with Coi Leray, but why so many people in the street saw the warning signs that this latest relationship was headed straight for disaster. Let's start with his most notorious early relationship, his situation with 6ix9ine's, also known as Alex, which lasted from around 2017 to 2018. This relationship was often described as Trippie's most toxic early romance, with both parties admitting they were petty as and constantly getting on each other's nerves. What made this relationship particularly destructive was how their personal drama got all tangled up with Trippie's professional beefs and career moves. The toxicity of the 6ix9ine's relationship was obvious to everybody around them, including his own people. Trippie later revealed that his family, including his moms and his cousins, couldn't stand 6ix9ine's and saw her as bad news for him. He called her the devil and a clout demon who was using him for fame and money. But what's particularly revealing is how this relationship established patterns that would repeat throughout his romantic life like a broken record. The cheating allegations started early and came from both sides of the situation. 6ix9ine's directly accused Trippie of stepping out on her during an Instagram live, stating it broke her heart and led her to end things because he hurt her. Trippie's response was to flip the script and accuse her right back, posting Instagram stories claiming she was going to clubs and sharing revealing photos, implying she was messing around with other dudes. But perhaps most telling about his character, after their breakup, Trippie reportedly took back gifts he had given 6ix9ine's, a move that many people highlighted as emblematic of his vindictive behavior once relationships went south. This pattern of public retaliation and bitter aftermath would become a signature move in Trippie's romantic relationships going forward. The 6ix9ine's situation became even messier when she started dating Trippie's enemy, 6ix9ine's, appearing in videos mocking Trippie and singing his songs sarcastically on social media. This wasn't just a regular breakup, this was straight warfare, with personal relationships becoming weapons in professional feuds. She later claimed her involvement with 6ix9ine's was a publicity stunt and denied certain allegations, but the damage to Trippie's reputation and emotional state was already done. Following 6ix9ine's, Trippie had a brief situation with Moulin Vuitton in 2018, which followed the exact same playbook. The relationship was largely reactive, with Trippie using photos with Moulin to get back at 6ix9ine's during their April 2018 breakup. This suggests that even his subsequent relationships were being influenced by drama from previous ones, a pattern of using new partners as weapons against old ones instead of actually trying to build something real. When Trippie began dating Coi Leray in 2019, Moulin accused him of cheating on her with Coi, claiming there was overlap between their relationships. This suggests a pattern, where Trippie moved quickly between partners without properly ending previous situations, leading to inevitable accusations of infidelity and overlap. But it ain't just romantic relationships where this pattern shows up. Trippie's career has been marked by a recurring series of controversies, including legal troubles, beef with other artists, and personal scandals. He's had multiple arrests since 2018, including charges for assault, battery, and other violent incidents that suggest a pattern of impulsive behavior and poor decision-making when he's under pressure. In late May 2018, shortly after his breakthrough, Trippie was arrested in Cobb County, Georgia, following an assault on fellow rapper FDM Grady. Just weeks later, in June 2018, he was arrested again in Atlanta for aggravated assault and battery after allegedly striking a woman in the head with a handgun. These incidents happened during the same period as his toxic relationship with 6ix9ine's, suggesting that personal and professional chaos often coincided in his life like they were connected. The pattern extends beyond individual relationships to encompass his entire approach to handling conflict. Whether he's dealing with romantic partners, fellow artists, or legal issues, Trippie's response often follows the same template: initial intensity that draws people in, escalating drama that gets everybody involved, public accusations that play out on social media, and explosive endings that leave everyone involved damaged and hurt. What makes the Coi Leray situation particularly tragic is how it represents an escalation of these established patterns. Previous relationships involved cheating allegations, public drama, and bitter endings, but the addition of a pregnancy, and now a false paternity claim, represents a new level of complexity and potential harm to innocent people. The real tragedy isn't just the false paternity claim, it's how this situation represents the predictable outcome of years of unresolved patterns playing out in increasingly destructive ways. Until those underlying patterns are addressed, it's likely that some version of this drama will continue to repeat, affecting not just Trippie, but everyone who becomes part of his romantic orbit.
There's a lot of going on, just a lot of confusion.
That confusion Trippie mentioned isn't just about this one situation. It seems to be the constant state of his romantic life, a chaos that follows him from relationship to relationship, creating pain and drama for everyone involved. The DNA test may have answered one question, but the broader questions about patterns, choices, and consequences remain as complex and unresolved as ever. Love this video? Click on the cards on your screen for more videos like this.